My name is my name is Abdullah Dwahi. I am the editor in chief and creator of Uyghur Affairs. This is my first interview for the channel. I created this specifically to continue my research and advocacy for my fellow Uyghur Muslims who are being persecuted and genocided in East Turkestan. And I have with me the executive director of the Center for Uyghur Studies, Mr. Abdulhakim Idris, and he will be telling us all about his advocacy for Uyghurs in the Muslim world. So, Mr. Idris, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us briefly what's the current situation in East Turkestan, given that we just had Ramadan and Eid.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am very happy talking to you, brother. I think, as a Muslim, from Muslim Ummah, you did great job. You want to raise the Muslim issue around the world, especially the Uyghur Muslim issue. As you know, this Uyghur genocide is going on almost 7 years right now. Personally, like everybody else, I couldn't, call my mom or my dad this Eid al-Fitr to tell them, Eid Mubarak. This is almost seventh Eid al-Fitr. I was not able to talk to them. I don't know if they're alive or not. Same is for my sisters and my brother. And this is one example, about we're talking about 3 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps, or more than 3 million, and the millions Uyghur in Chinese prisons around China, and the millions Uyghur children separated from their parents, and 100,000 and 100,000 Uyghur girls forced to marry with non-Uyghur and atheist Han Chinese Muslim. Han Chinese person. So this is the tragedy, and still, the Muslim World Organization of Islamic Cooperations, Islamic institution like Al Azhar or Rabatat al Alam Islami, or others, many organizations, including Muslim scholars and universities. Except some Uyghur Muslims in Western country, they failed on us, They abandoned the Uyghur Muslims. They are afraid to talk about the Uyghur Muslims. This is like a tragedy. So in these circumstances, talking to you, it's like I'm very happy, you're doing this job. I think you're standing up for the humanity, for the Muslim Ummah, for yourself. You don't have any fear about the Chinese Communist government. So you are just, love and the fear Allah. That's the very important issue. And today's our situation right now in East Turkestan is, worsening day by day. For example, this Ramadan, the people of East Turkestan were not able to fast, or read the Quran, or go to the mosques, or make a normal religious activities. As we get from Radio Free Asia reports, the Chinese police were going home by home to control if the Muslim are fasting or not. They organized like beer drinking festivals to let the Muslims on the first time to drink beer. So, and then the third is, they turned during the Ramadan. There are some mosques they left, they destroyed more than 16,000 mosques and many cemeteries, but there are still some mosques the showcase for the Muslim visitors, from official Muslim visitors. They turned those mosques during the Ramadan to dancing place for the touristic, So this is what's going on right now there. So this is about our situation. And my name is Abdulhakim Idris. I'm the executive director for Center for Uyghur Studies. which we gathered as scholars and who studied, in some Arabic country, and they become a religious scholar. We gathered together and created this organization, and we are focusing just on the Muslim world to raise awareness about the Uyghur Muslims. At the same time, we want to warn the Muslim Ummah from the danger coming from the East. It's not about the just Uyghur issue anymore, If they done with the Uyghur genocide, there are next, we have, as you see in our geography, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan. You can see more Chinese influence there. And still in some Middle Eastern country in the MENA region. So as Uyghur Muslims, we have, I think, an obligation, same times to warn the Muslim Ummah from the danger coming from the East.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is truly a disturbing issue, and I'm glad that you formed this organization to warn Muslim countries, because when I started doing the session, I've been studying this for a year and a half. I've been warned many times how difficult it is for me alone to advocate. So I'm glad that there's a whole organization of good, intelligent Muslim scholars like you working hard to help those like me, like try to
Yes.
warn. You know, uh, we should definitely stick together, because yeah, it's disturbing. My mom and dad read the Quran every Ramadan, and it really and honestly, I'm speechless. It's disturbing that Muslims can't read the Quran on during Ramadan.
Yes, and this is the tragic issue. It's not I'm saying, or no, somebody else. The Chinese official news agencies reporting. For example, last year, 2020, around August, the Chinese President Xi Jinping visited our country, and he pressed, to synthesize Islam. Meaning, that they are openly telling that the religion of Islam is mental disease. We have to eradicate. The Muslim are not normal people. We have to make them normal people. And those are the attitude. And they are officially, doing to rewrite the Quran, rewrite the Bible. It's not just about the Muslim issue, but they are, problem with the Buddhism, like in Tibet or in the southern Mongolia, and they have problem with the Falun Gong practitioners in China, with the Christian the same, but the massive oppression is, so heavy on the Uyghur Muslims, because they thought, they want to destroy two things by the Uyghur Muslims. As you know, the Chinese Communist government invaded our country in 1949. From that time on, the Uyghurs had not, religious schools outside the home. We didn't have enough materials to learn our religion, not Quran or Hadith or others. They put, that at that time, and then the 1950s, 60s, 70s, great leap forward, cultural revolutions, those areas, they destroyed all the Islamic literature, So, for example, they at that time burned the Quran again, destroyed the mosques, put the many Islamic scholars in the prison and killed them, and let us, without any community leaders. But still, Uyghurs were able to use the home as a madrasa, as a school. We, learned our religion from our parents, and we learned, akhlaq and the morality from our parents. And the home was like, the last place we could, gather together, live freely, and talk, our problems, and then learn about our history, about religion. So this time, Chinese Communist government attacked Uyghur home. More than 1.3 Han Chinese communist cadres were deployed by the Uyghur homes. Imagine you're in your home, you have to live with Han Chinese, non-Muslims, 24 hours together. You have maybe your mother, sisters, or or your dad is already in concentration camps. This is the biggest attack about Uyghur Muslims home. If you look, 1.3 million Han Chinese. It means 1.3 million already turned in prison. That they turned the home to prison because you have to serve the Han Chinese cadres. He or she has the power to give you a score if you're radicalized or not. And if you're in your home is there is a place for religious activities, so watching you 24 hours, and you have to serve her or him with the food, with the chai. He's like a king in your home. This is never happened in any human history, to turning the home to prisons and then putting more than 3 million people in concentration camps. So then they attacked, why the Chinese Communist government attacking the religion? Because a religion of Islam or faith, protect us becoming, from assimilation. Because we as a Muslims, you have some obligation to do. You eat halal, you keep your religion, you are close to Allah, you are all the time, feel you are a very, very strong person, if you have difficulty, you have patience, you say, okay, with sabr, maybe I will go throughout. So this too, destroying the religious activities, criminalizing them, they passed a law, for example, you can say salam alaikum, you can not go to mosque. You cannot teach your kids, about Islam. You cannot tell them you are a Muslim, and those and your sister or your mom cannot wear a hijab, and you cannot even you go to restaurant. You cannot ask if the food what you are eating is halal or not. If you ask this is like a signs of the radicalization or extremism. So through this, turn the all East Turkestan like in presence, putting in the jail, putting in the concentration camps, and turning the home to prisons, and then criminalizing the Islams and attacking this Islam, like a mental disease. Is I sometimes I have problem, but there are more than 56 majority Muslim countries around the world. They have very close relationship with China. They have ambassador diplomats in Beijing. I sometimes I think what they do there. They look at what the Chinese Communist government is telling about the face of Islam and about the Quran, and why they report their countries, and their rulers are still not seeing it, not hearing it, not reading about this situation. And then many Muslim scholars around the world still, skeptical about this issue. So this is the real situation right now.
Thank you so much for explaining all that. That's really, really important. Unfortunately, the media, either in the Muslim world or here in the West, don't really talk about any of this as much. Maybe when they talk about TikTok, but they don't really talk about any of this. It's always surprising when I talk to my classmates and how shocked they are when I tell them any of this. It's like they don't believe me, but it is true. There is one way the Chinese Communist Party oppresses the Uyghurs, and it's through advanced technology, surveillance technology.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how China uses advanced technology, whether in East Turkestan or here in the US, to basically intimidate Uyghurs or threaten them?
Yes, Chinese Communist government used East Turkestan like a test field for its, DNA collection, AI practices, and massive surveillance, and forced labor facilities. For how to you use them, the forced labor, and even for the organ harvesting. And then turned the East Turkestan like a presence with the digital wall, or what we call digital wall. Everybody, they collected voice from every person in East Turkestan. So today's technology, imagine, it's no matter if you call from WhatsApp or TikTok or phone or Skype, your voice and not will match with your. You cannot reach your parents or somebody there, because they are blocking that, with the technology.
Yeah.
This is one thing. Then others, Chinese Communist government using the law in Western country and some other countries to pressure Uyghurs. For example, they have today in the US many companies working for them, and some security, what we call is like collecting the data. They're collecting where you live, what do you work for work, who's your close friends, what you have a weakness, what is your desire. So analyzing this, and if you have kids, they have problem in the school, they jump up there, putting them more in the and damaging them. So we for example, imagine outside the China, more than 60,000 Han Chinese are present in the US, in the Asia, around the world. But you cannot see a big movement against this Chinese totalitarian systems. You could ask why. Why are they not united against this oppressive regime? Even the Tibetan Hong Konger are very victims of those regimes, and for Uyghurs, they trying to oppress every Uyghurs. Imagine Chinese hand is neck of every Uyghur around the world. How? Because your loved one is in their hand. They're taking hostage your parents, your brother, your sister, or those people you went together to school, or your friends. Many, because of you, many are in their hand. So they are threatening to not threatening, sometimes sending message to some Uyghurs in Western countries, especially in America too. The problem is, you cannot go to the court and apply for suit, because you cannot, you are not able to prove those issues. So as a Uyghurs, we left like powerless between this regime, and many Chinese officials, intelligence service people from Urumqi or from Beijing, they calling and threatening many Uyghurs, saying, if you go out, if you talk about your situation, think about your family, think about your father, think about your mother, or if you don't collaborate with us, you cannot communicate your parents, and let them to talk to them. And this is very very tragic situation. You cannot ask every Uyghurs not to talk their parents. You cannot ask this is the situation right now, or loved one. And the Chinese Communist government using this and the meantime attacking the Uyghur activists, destroying their reputations, and getting, many problems. So this is what we are facing today. And we are doing this activism because, of expense our family. For example, look at me, my entire family, in Chinese hand. And this is not easy, to go to sleep every night without thinking, about your parents, your brothers, sisters, what's going on, what's happening to them, if they're alive. This is torturing every day, every moment. So this is what we are dealing with it.
Thank you so much. I'm very sorry to hear about your family, and honestly, for all Uyghurs, uh, it is very, very painful. I do. You talked just now about the United States, like how Uyghurs are in the United States, but can you please tell me what's it like for Uyghurs in the Uyghur diaspora in the Muslim world, like in Turkey or in Malaysia or wherever? Do they ever experience any transnational repression of that sorts?
Unfortunately, the Muslim majority countries or Muslim Ummah is not helping Uyghurs, but they are collaborating with Chinese regime. 2017, 2016, 2017, the Egyptian government, deported many hundreds Uyghurs to China. They were studying, at Al Azhar University in Cairo. If you look, Al Azhar University is like a symbol university for the Muslim Ummah, and the Uyghur Muslims studying there, and then Egyptian government, came and then uh, put the Uyghurs and deport them to the China. And we don't know if those students, girls and young people, are alive or not. This is the tragedy. And many Uyghurs, if they came to Central Asia, because the border to Afghanistan, to Pakistan, to Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, those stands, if they came to flee from our country, go there, they were returned to China, because those countries are member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, and they have, like they have to bring back to China. And we have right now some Uyghurs still in the Muslim prisons, from Morocco to Saudi Arabia to others. And there were report, even Chinese Communist government has built a prison in the UAE and Dubai to put the Uyghurs there. And we have more than 100, as the Chinese Communist government took more than 100 Uyghurs 10 years ago from Thailand, and Thailand deported them to China, and we don't know what happens to them. Nobody is seen, from them, and still we had right now, 55 Uyghurs, almost 9 years in Thailand's prison. The very harsh, in very harsh condition there. And then last year and this year, we lost two men there. Two Uyghurs, passed away from this illness and the mistreatment, those prisons. And still, non-Muslim country were able to free them from Thai governments, to tell them, you should leave them, we will take it. No. So this is the situation among the Muslim countries, especially, Pakistan is very active to send the Uyghurs back, if any there. And even we had, we are right now with the Taliban government in Afghanistan. They are, every day repeating the Muslim issue in China is China's internal issue. We don't want nothing to do with them. This is the situation.
This is yeah, this is pretty sad. I I as a Muslim, I'm always surprised by the way they get outraged by uh, some politician in Sweden, like burning Quran, which is disturbing to me. But you know, I know very well from my studies that many Qurans are being burned per, like, how many per day? Like hundreds, maybe more. Like
Yes, yes. Hmm. You brought very good point. Okay.
yeah.
We, if like a magazine, a Charlie Hebdo magazine in France, if they make a caricature about our Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or Salman Rushdie write a book, describing the truth about the Muslim, again, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when some maniac, shooting as a person, burn the Quran, there are outreach through the Muslim countries. For example, Iran, the supreme leader of Iran give the fatwa to kill Salman Rushdie. Meantime, the Iranian supreme leader sitting on the drinking tea with the Xi Jinping, which killed many Muslims, and which burned the Quran as a state, not as a person, as a state. And they openly, officially published the burnings as like a as a success for the Communist Party, and it's not some things you cannot hide it. And if, as I said, if a maniac burned the Quran from states leader to the community leader to mosques, imams, to everybody come and condemn them. But if China do it, everybody silent. Sometimes I think maybe that this is test for the every Muslim to face. If you say La ilaha illallah, and at the same time you are afraid of China, not Allah, talk the truth. What is this? What is this? I think many we ask many imams, why don't make a dua for the Uyghurs? No, this is like a sensitive issue. What's sensitive issue? The make a dua for the Muslim 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 community. It's sensitive. We cannot understand that. So this is the situation in the Muslim countries. And maybe you have next question, we will talk about how to reach to them.
Yeah, and before I reach that question, I have two other questions. They're very relevant and important. One is recently China brokered a peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Very, very big in the Muslim world. I, as Saudi Arabian, have seen on the social media, and maybe because you speak Arabic, you've seen social media, like a lot of people praising China for its peaceful role in the Muslim world in getting two arch nemesis, like two different sects of Islam to make peace. They're basically buying into the propaganda of China being peaceful like the people. How would you respond to that? Because when I was reading the media, like media coverage, both West and Muslim world, they never talk about the Uyghurs. Like they were left unheard on this issue. Second, and this kind of ties into that.
Okay.
You talked about halal organ trafficking in the Middle East by the CCP.
Yes.
And I think that tell us like how China is not really playing a peaceful role in the Middle East based on its activities or its undercover activities like halal organ trafficking.
Yes. For your first questions, as you know, the Iran was has involved in the war in Yemen, in Syria and Iraq, and they fight with Saudi Arabia indirectly, and the Saudi Arabia fought with the coalition and in Yemen, and even Saudi Arabia itself become a target for the rockets and the drones and the oil field. I think both Iran and Saudi Arabia were tired after fighting each other. They want to make a deal, but they need somebody push them together. And as you know, right now Iran has very bad relationship with the Western country, and Russia is very busy with Ukraine. So then China, okay, why I do bring you together? I think that this is the situation, and reality is this one. But China used this as a success for its diplomatic effort in the Middle East and the Iran. And I was not surprised, by how the because we are watching very closely Iranian propaganda machinery. Iranian propaganda machinery almost 80%, aligned with Chinese propaganda machinery together. If you look in the Lebanon, for example, there are Sunni media, they are a little bit, talk about Uyghur issue. But like a Hezbollah and the many other organizations, if you look about the Uyghurs, they are like a CCP, it's like a Chinese Communist government. Same alignment. And the Iranian has many influential Arabic-speaking networks in Iraq and in the Lebanon, and even in Tehran. They are becoming like a mouthpiece for the CCP. But I was surprised again, by Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia actually, very strong country and has own media. Don't need money from other countries. For example, if you look in Egypt, Al-Akhbar, Akhbar al-Yom, or Al-Ahram newspaper, they have, section from like a news from China section. And you can look in the online or in the print media. And those news from China section, the news will, would be written in China by Radio China International and printed in those newspaper, and like Egyptian became like a newspaper. It's it's coming from the news agency. It's not from the Chinese propaganda. Same in Pakistan, but Saudi Arabia as media again, were very favorable about the Chinese image. This is worrying me because Saudi Arabia is not a country, a normal country, because every year millions Muslim people coming there, making Hajj to Mecca, Medina, and Saudi Arabia has its own weight on Muslim countries. So this is worrying me. And then regarding the organ harvesting, as we said, China collected from every Uyghur's DNA. And even some Chinese hospitals, they have agency in the Emirat, in Dubai, UAE. They making commercial. If you need halal organ, we have halal organ. So if you go to Chinese hospital, you will get halal organ, kidney or other things. How they get this? They put the computer. They know already. The data. Bring the people, kill them, again the organ, and putting them this. This is the tragic issue. So this is regarding organ harvesting and the Saudi and the Iran broken deal. My take on it.
Yeah, it is disturbing. I actually published an article recently on my website, and I cited your article on Islam 21C. I thought it was very well written and very shocking. You said that they triple the price if it was halal.
Yes.
It is. Oh, sorry, you were saying.
No. Yes, this is the tragedy. Even some agency from Chinese hospitals, in Kuwait and in Qatar, in Dubai, and Abu Dhabi, even other Muslim countries, telling them, if you need any organs, we have halal organ. Of course, as a halal organ, it has a price, and then many some thinking, some Muslims, we don't have a kidney, for somebody he didn't eat halal, and I don't want this part in my body. But the Chinese communist government's officials telling them we have halal organ. So this is the tragedy. And meantime, I will add one thing here, that the Chinese communist government, taking full advantage of the Uyghurs as a human being. They're selling our organs, using us as a forced labor, taking the hair from the Uyghur Muslims, selling and then the markets around the world. Even in the United States and then the customs, they were confiscated 13 tons of human Uyghur women's hair. Imagine 13 tons of hair. How many Uyghur girls were forced to give their hairs? This is the situation. And as now, there are many movements going on, but feminism, human rights, from every aspect, from religious freedom to progressive, and it's not the issue for them as a Uyghur, like a treated, seeing the Uyghurs like a not human being, and I think this is the tragedy, because if China get rid out of us, and there's no consequence for them, they will go to for the next people.
Yeah. Thank you. Uh, can you talk about the Uyghur Tribunal? I think that's something that happened. I know you were an expert witness. I think when I was reading about it, I thought the Muslim world should have been paying attention to that trial or tribunal. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, when the Chinese Communist government planned this genocide, they began to build the concentration camps already in 2014, and they conducted this genocide actively 2016, 2017. If you look back 2016, 2017, what was in the world, the President Trump was elected as a president for the United States, and he says, America first.
Yeah.
And then he pulled out from the UN Human Rights Council, US delegation out. What happened? China filled in with its friends, like Michelle Bachelet from the former Chilean president, who was like a champion for the Chinese Belt Road Initiative in Latin America. And then, 2014, 2015, 2016, Chinese foreign minister, Chinese officials were traveling, Muslim country one by one, making with them deal, not to talk about the Uyghur issue anymore. So in 2016, 2017, China was sure the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will not talk about the Uyghur issue. The UN Human Rights Council will be silent on Uyghur issue. So I can do what I want, Xi Jinping thought, conducted that massive genocide. 2017, and it was, last time I spoke, my mom was 25th April 2017. 2017, 2018, we as Uyghurs, we went everywhere. We walked up to Congress, politicians. Nobody wanted to listen to us. Nobody thought, it's happening real. As the Uyghurs, we did many demonstrations in Brussels, in Geneva, in New York. Even all the Uyghur women around the world, they had the demonstration in the 20-some cities. March 2018. So we tried everything, but we couldn't do it because China is member of the UN Security Council. China has many friends in the UN and the Muslim country. So then 2019, again, there was some talk about the Uyghur issue. Nobody want to believe us. So in 2020, 2021, there was an idea to get independent court because we cannot apply to International Criminal Court in Den Haag because we are not states. There was no state to apply in behalf of us. So then, many, the Uyghur Tribunal then was 2000, maybe 2021. And as a Uyghurs, we were able to gather documentation, testimonies, more than 1,000 people, So it's maybe for some countries easy, 1,000 people, but if for China, it's not easy. To find 1,000 people, you have to have one person. He is ready to sacrifice his family, his friend, for this testify. So we were able to collect the more than, as Uyghurs, thousands of document, and the Jeffrey Nice, who was the chief judge when the Milovan Milosevic, who was the conducted the genocide on Srebrenica and the Muslims and Bosnia and Herzegovina. He was the chief judge, and they looked at and invited many experts and looked the witnesses, policies, leaked documents, and then they spoke their verdict. December 2021, China conduct genocide against Uyghurs and the crimes against humanity. So this is the story about the Uyghur tribunal. And then last year, when the before 10 minutes her term is expired, the former UN Human Rights Commissioner Michelle Bachelet announced the Uyghur UN Uyghur reports. They are, changed many things, but still China China conduct the crimes against humanity is still there. So we have right now in our hand one side, a verdict from the independent court. We have report from the UN Human Rights Council. We have, many thousands leaked documents from Chinese officials. There's XinjiangPoliceFile.org. If you look there, you can see thousands of Uyghur Muslims. You can see their face, name, why are they were put in the jail, in the concentration camps. So the massive evidence is already here.
That is true. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Now, finally, we will be talking about your recent visits to Muslim countries, including Malaysia. I think you went to Indonesia also, if I'm not mistaken. Can you tell us about what were your visits like, and how did you feel about it?
Before I talk about the Indonesia, Malaysia recent trip, I will explain a little bit what's the stand in the Muslim majority countries about the Uyghur issue. May you know, the Chinese disinformation machinery is so working well in those countries. In those countries, for example, if you look the Muslim countries' educational system, there are some, they still talk about the minority Muslim around the world, except the Uyghurs. You will never heard about the Uyghurs in the school, not in high school, not in university, because China already took care of those issues. And then second is Chinese changed our country's names. For example, they give us Xinjiang. Instead is Turkestan. Xinjiang means new territory, new border for them. And many Muslim countries, Xinjiang is like a Chinese word. It's it's apart from China. Then many places in Chinese name, for example, Kashgar. We say Kashgar, but in Chinese, Kashi, Urumqi, and they many of the atlas or maps are using in the Muslim countries are printed by China, made in China. So they took care of, everything's like a Chinese. So many Muslims around the world don't know about the Uyghur issue. They right now heard there's some things bad happening. So Muslims called Uyghurs. Many Muslims don't know about Uyghur identity, Uyghur culture, Uyghur history, how the Uyghurs look like, where they live life, and what the Uyghurs contribute to the Islamic civilization. No idea. They don't know about this issue. And then Chinese Communist government using massive disinformation machinery like Chinese Muslim. There's some Hui Muslim. There are around the China. They look like China, look Chinese. They speak Chinese language, and they getting oppressed, but not so massive like Uyghurs. And so they are again, want to eradicate Uyghurs, Muslims from the memory of Muslim Ummah. So almost 30 years they tried to do this. So as a Center for Uyghur Studies, what we thought, okay, we don't give the Muslim Ummah for the China. It's worse, to educate the Muslim Ummah about the Uyghur issue. We introduced the Uyghur Muslim to the Muslim Ummah from Uyghur history, culture, civilization, geography, and what's going on right now. What's matter to Uyghurs issue for the Muslims, and what could we share with the Muslim Ummah our heavy paid experience, because we deal with the Chinese like not anybody else, because we live to the border. We, as if you look, we are the eastern border to eastern gate for the.
Excuse me, Mr. Idris. You're muted. You're mute. I see you're muted.
Right now?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I couldn't hear what you were saying. Can you?
Where I get muted? Can you tell me?
Oh no. You were talking about how the Muslim world, you at the Center of Uyghur Studies, you wanted to talk to the Muslim world, reach out and not give it up to China.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Sorry about that.
We don't want to give up. We don't want to give up the Muslim Ummah for China, for Chinese disinformation machinery. From Center for Uyghur Studies, we already developed our strategy. We will introduce Uyghur Muslim to the Muslim Ummah, Uyghur history, Uyghur culture, Uyghur where the Uyghur geography, why Uyghurs issues, because we are, the eastern gate for the Muslim, and this is important for us to introduce to the Muslim Ummah. And we are reaching out to the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa region, and Central Asian and the Southeast Asian. We already, visited some Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Turkey, Azerbaijan, and then recently India again, because India are many Muslims too, and Bengali, with the Bengali language, we could reach to the Bangladesh too, those areas, and then Indonesia and Malaysia. So our experience, we are in the right way. If we reach to the Muslim Ummah and explain to them, what's going on in our country as a Muslims, what we are facing, and the response is changing. Many are, listen to us. After listen to us, they want to take action, and this is the more positive response. And we went recently to Indonesia, visited many cities, more than 66 cities, and the health conference in some universities there, met with the religious leader, with politicians, with academia, with journalists. And some of them, shocked after they listened to us. They thought, we heard some things going on there, but there are media, the US or Western country using Uyghurs against China's rise. We thought maybe that's the issue. We didn't know in details, After they listened to us, the narrative and the response are very positive. And I think as a Uyghur Muslims, we just focused, of course, in the Western country. We are doing well here, Western Europe and Australia, Canada, and the US. But we have to do more our work, in Muslim countries. And what are you doing is so essential for the Uyghur Muslims, because you are non-Uyghur Muslims. If you talk about the Uyghur issue, your credibility is, so good for the Muslim Ummah. So, inshallah, that will help us to raise awareness among the Muslim majority countries. Well,
Thank you so much. We This is a very important. It's not just me. Honestly, I think you're doing much better work. Going to Indonesia, Malaysia. It's very important that you go to Muslim countries. I can tell you from experience, and this is the first time I say this out loud. When I started doing this, when I started advocating for Uyghurs, when I started researching, I'm graduating in very soon, in 2 weeks. I'm going back to Saudi Arabia actually after graduation. I can confirm to you a lot of people, including prominent activists I've spoken to, Uyghur activists spoken to, I'm not going to say any names, have expressed concern about how am I going to proceed back home. I told them, they were shocked. Why am I doing what I'm doing? I told them that if I don't do this back home, I stay in the U.S., my advocacy will not be as credible. It's not that I don't like the U.S., but it's like if I don't do it in where my faith was born, I will not do justice for the Uyghurs, and that's why I created this website in spite of anybody's concern because I just don't want to. I just don't want China's influence to continue, especially in the Gulf region. I'm gonna be honest with you. The Gulf region, Qatar, Saudi, Emirates, the China is very powerful. You know, you've been reading a lot of news. Saudi Arabia has been importing technology, surveillance technology, for its new city. Qatar built its stadium using the concentration camp construction company, and the UAE is now secretly building a military site, Chinese military site. So, I thought, if the important actors are not playing, it's not really gonna work. Even though I applaud the United States and all the Uyghur organizations like yours here in this country, and yeah, I hope I see more Muslims do what I'm doing, but uh, it's also important to acknowledge that it's pretty difficult. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me in this interview. I hope I did not take too much of your time. I know how busy you are, uh, Mr. Idris, and
let, let me tell you something. What you told me right now, you are going back to Saudi Arabia and they will still talk about this issue. Imagine if you do this, it will be, in behalf of Saudi Arabian national security interest. It will be, interest of those Muslim Ummahs, this national security issue. You are just will be talk about Uyghur issue and the same time, to keep the independency after your country, not become like a colony of China. This is different, because we are right now talking Russia will become like a colony of China. It's very important for decision maker in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in UAE, many Muslim countries. They should know what the China's real aim are. What are they doing as a one nation like a Uyghurs? They should know. And if they know everything and then make a decision, maybe they do something right decision. So I think your love your country and for the for the Uyghur issue, I think that will be like a noble cause for you, and we will follow you, and inshallah stay in touch. That's a very what we call motivating for us to keep doing this.
Thank you so much. I'm truly motivated to help Uyghurs more, and I talk to, like, every week. I keep in touch with every Uyghur activist, whether they're Uyghurs or non-Uyghurs, because I want to make sure I do the best job I can for all of you. And I also understand that given where I'm from, it's not as easy as if you're American. And before we end this interview, I want to make sure I mention Mr. Idris's book, which I haven't read yet, Menace:
Good.
China's Colonization of the Islamic World and Uyghur Genocide. If if anybody listening or watching this is interested in the Muslim world, its politics, and China, make sure you read Mr. Idris's excellent work if you want to hear more of his thoughts and views on this issue. Thank you very, very much
Thank you
for
so much.
taking the time, and uh, I look forward to talking to you again.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
الله يجزاك خير. مع السلامة.
Wassalam.